I'm not a bodybuilder and I've never considered myself to be one. I'm just a guy who likes lifting to look better, feel stronger, be more confident in myself, and move pain-free. And I've not always looked and trained the way I do now. I was once extremely confused and overwhelmed by all the noise that the fitness industry has been feeding me. One scientific research contradicted another, one creator contradicted the other, and everything was just a mess. Because of all this noise, I've once extremely overtrained, I've developed permanent kidney damage for taking the bulk too far, and overall I've just wasted years of my time trying out different workout plans that promised me more gains. But all of that was just a waste and nothing really worked, so I finally decided enough is enough, time to draw a line in the sand. I took a step back and really assessed what I wanted with my fitness journey. I wanted to build an aesthetic physique that didn't look too big. I wanted to be confident shirtless in front of women. I wanted to be strong and athletic, and I also wanted to fix my lower back pain and sciatica. Basically, I wanted to look, move, and operate like an athlete without the specialization in any particular sport. And so I started to train like an athlete, and that's when everything just clicked. Here's what I've realized. Everything that the fitness industry has been teaching you is a whole lot of bullshit if you don't want to be a bodybuilder. And that you need to track every single calorie on MyFitnessPal in order to build your physique, it's just a whole bunch of crap that you don't need. Fact is, most of us have families, have jobs, have early mornings, and just can't afford to spend so much time in the gym training every single day. You know, we can't be living in the gym like these influencers are. It's their workplace, it's their job. But the fact is, we don't need to. And so I've basically devised my own ways and my own systems in order to build an athletic physique, achieve my goals without the need to spend hours on health and fitness. And in this video, I'm gonna give you the complete walkthrough and guide in order for you to build an athletic physique, start moving, start feeling, and start looking like an elite athlete without wasting all of your hours. I'm gonna be going through everything I do for training, nutrition, and recovery, and starting off with training. The training philosophy behind training for an athletic physique is relatively simple. Focus on building strength, functionality, flexibility, and core strength. And from my experience, focusing on low rep, high intensity training is the easiest way for you to do that. And this is contrary to the traditional, oh, you need to train 3 to 4 sets for 10 to 12 reps each for hypertrophy that you regularly hear on the internet. And just on a side note, this is a complete rant about the fitness industry. What you need to realize is right now, the current trend of the fitness industry is heavily influenced by bodybuilders. On one hand, you have these steroid abusers who teach you what they do, but that doesn't quite make sense because we're natural. We can't train like steroid users. Our body just doesn't recover that way. And on the other hand, you have these big science-based influencers and advocates coming out with new training methods, new training styles, new methodologies every couple of months that basically completely undermines what they taught previously. And so if everybody that teaches fitness online is basically lying, is basically a hoax, a scam, then you really need to realize maybe it's better for you to stop listening to these big influencers and just start training on your own and start figuring out something that works for you. And that's exactly what I did for myself. I figured out something that works for me. And based off of my own experience, focusing on building strength, low reps, high intensity is the easiest way for you to build an athletic physique. Okay, so now back to training. Let's talk about structure, sets, and reps. When you train for strength, you want to be primarily focused on compound movements and supplementing with isolation exercises for your minor muscle groups like your arms, calves, and shoulders. For your compound lifts, such as your presses, your squats, your deadlifts, pull-ups, and pull-downs, you want to do 4 sets of these. First, you want to start with a weight that you can lift for 6 reps, then progressively work your way up to being able to do 10 reps with that particular weight, and then increase your weight going forward. This is the most basic breakdown of progressive overloading. You want to be resting 90 seconds to 2 minutes each set and pushing yourself to failure on every last set of every exercise. With isolation exercises focusing on one specific muscle, such as curls, pushdowns, or lateral raises, do 3 sets. This time, start with a weight that you can do for 8 reps, then slowly work your way up to 12 reps before increasing your weights. You want to be resting 60 seconds between each set, and as always, push yourself to failure on the last set. And I usually like supersetting these isolation workouts just to condense the time and make everything more time efficient. Now, when it comes to building an athletic physique, the biggest mistake that I see a lot of guys make is neglecting to train for your core strength and your core stability. And it's not only for the benefit of sport-specific purposes. For one, training up your core, adding ab exercises, lower back exercises gives you very defined chiseled abs and obliques. And second, take sitting for example. In the past, I've developed sciatica and lower back pain from sitting in a bad posture for 8+ hours a day. It was so bad at one point that I had to take muscle relaxants and painkillers in order to just feel better. But I managed to fix both of those by strengthening my core and incorporating more core training into my training routine. And when it comes to training for core strength, obviously train the abs with exercises like crunches or hanging leg raises, but also train the lower back and your spinal rectors by incorporating exercises such as the QL extension and back extension. And I usually just tack them on for 2 sets each at the end of every single one of my workouts for 15 reps, and then progressively adding weights to that exercise to progressive overload. So a basic structure for a workout based off of this plan is you want to start off with 1 to 2 compound exercises for 4 sets each, and then you want to supplement with 2 to 3 compound exercises for 3 sets each, then end off with 2 to 3 core exercises for 2 sets each. And how you program each workout really depends on your training split. I recommend training for 3 to 4 times a week following either a push-pull leg split or upper-lower split. All in all, every single workout should be extremely effective, taken to failure every single time, and it should not take over 50 minutes. And when it comes to training for an athletic physique, I try to keep it simple by focusing on the big 5. That's your chest, back, shoulders, abs, and legs. So these are the 5 muscle groups that you really want to be focusing on in order to build that prominent V taper and achieve good proportions. And by the way, I've made a huge list of the best exercises that I've personally tested into a spreadsheet that you can use to program your workouts, and I've linked that in the description below. So be sure to check that out if you need it. So to wrap up the training portion of this video, when I say training to failure, when you really struggle to get the weight up and you just can't anymore, that's when you know you've hit failure. And for a single training program, you want to stick to it for at least 2 months before switching it out. This way your body actually has enough time to adapt to the training program and progress. Okay, perhaps the even more important thing than training is nutrition. So let's dive into nutrition. My philosophy with nutrition is simple, and it's 2 things. You don't need to track calories in an app. You need to learn nutrition labels and learn what you're eating. And 2, eating healthy shouldn't be hard, but it should be required. And when it comes to eating and nutrition to build an athletic physique, your goal is to be at a healthy body weight, under 15% body fat, and focusing on protein intake. When it comes to macros, you want to eat 0.8 to 1 grams per pound of body weight of protein every day and evenly spaced out throughout the day in order to promote continuous muscle protein synthesis. And what you have to know is eating excessive protein outside the 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight range is simply a waste of protein, and it might cause extra strain to your kidney. Then you just want to supplement the rest with complex carbs like pasta and starches, fibers from fruits, smoothies and vegetable, and healthy fats like avocado and olive oil. If you're underweight or overweight, either go on a lean bulk or go on a slight cut in order to reach a healthy body weight and under 15% body fat. If you want to go on a lean bulk, just add 300 to 500 calories onto your maintenance calories. If you want to go on a slight cut, reduce your calorie intake by 300 to 500 calories. And I'm not a fan of strict diets that keep you away from eating what you want. Eat whatever you want, but reduce processed and unhealthy fast foods and try to get most of your nutrition from healthy sources such as whole foods. Again, eating healthy should be required, but it shouldn't be hard. And everything that I just mentioned above is the bare minimum to do. But the bare minimum is all that it takes. Do it, keep at it for 6 months straight, don't fall off, and I guarantee you're gonna look and feel better than you've ever felt before. One thing that a lot of people, even I used to in the past, is to overlook the impact that nutrition has on your energy levels. Even if you felt like you've gotten enough sleep, 7 to 8 hours every single night, but you still feel like you're low energy every day, then it's probably because of your nutrition. And I've personally tested this with myself and my own breakfast to see how my energy levels are impacted by the foods that I eat. This was a 30-day experiment split into 2 halves. For the first 14 days, I'd have a controlled diet of ground beef, eggs, blueberries, and coffee with minimal carbs. And on the 15th day, I threw in something random. One day it was cinnamon toast crunch, and another day it was instant ramen. And every time on that 15th day where I wasn't eating just high protein and I was eating sugary carbs and processed foods, my energy level just tanked. On the day that I had the instant ramen, my energy level completely dropped 30 minutes later. I had severe brain fog, and it was the first time that I fell asleep during class in a long time. And this was surprising to me because being Asian, I grew up eating things like steamed buns, dumplings, processed breads, and rice balls for breakfast. And that was the habit that caused me to always feel tired and groggy every single day. A very simple way to fix your eating schedule is to avoid processed foods and heavy carbs, sugary carbs in the morning, and as the day goes on, incorporate more complex carbs into your diet in order to promote better digestion and sustain energy release. I usually have the biggest meal of the day as my dinner because I know for a fact that after dinner, even if I am a bit tired, even if I am a bit groggy, groggy, it's totally fine because I'm preparing for bed anyways. Now, to wrap up the nutrition section, I want to talk a little bit about not needing to track calories using MyFitnessPal. I personally have not tracked a single calorie within the past 10 to 11 months, and I personally started to learn nutrition by keeping my diet very simple at first, not eating out, focusing on buying my own ingredients, learning the nutrition labels, and cooking according to nutrition values. And from there, I got really good at eyeballing calories and eyeballing macro needs. So as I progressed, I basically started to go out, eat, look at my meal, and basically understand the basic macro breakdown of that particular meal and eat accordingly that way. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't actually have time to cook or meal prep or doesn't want to take the time to learn nutrition from scratch, what my nutritionist teaches in my training program is what's called the equivalent portion system. To break it down very simply, you turn your macro needs into portions that you can track with just the palm of your hands. Then whenever you're eating, you just want to quickly eyeball the portions of whatever macro it is on your plate and then track it using your palms. And that's roughly accurate enough to help my clients who don't necessarily have time to cook or meal prep to eat according to their macro needs without needing to track calories using MyFitnessPal. Lastly, once you do have training and nutrition down, you're not finished. Recovery is probably one of the most overlooked aspects for anyone trying to build an athletic physique, but it's probably one of the most crucial parts. So what is recovery? I define it as three things: sleep, passive, and active. Sleep is obviously very important to your recovery. That's when your growth hormone is produced and excreted at the highest level, and it's also when your body goes through muscle repair. Follow a sleep and wake routine every single day to fix up your circadian rhythm. If you struggle with falling asleep, get a sleep mask to cut out all light. Get yourself sleeping earbuds to play white noises to cut out your thoughts. And if you really need, take melatonin for 1 week just to help set your circadian rhythm. Passive basically just means recovery where you're not actively doing something for that recovery. To me, this simply means how many days a week that you're taking away from the gym that you are actually recovering. I recommend 2 to 3 days every week where you're not going to the gym so that your body has time to properly recover from the muscle stress, from the muscle damage. And it also allows your central nervous system to recover from the stress that it's been putting when lifting heavy. Active simply means recovery that you do deliberately. Things like stretching, massaging, cold plunging, sauna, and yoga are all a part of active recovery. Out of them, stretching is probably the most important and the one that I never ever skip. As our body gets older, it doesn't function as well as when we were kids. So stretching regularly keeps your joints healthy and flexible and helps you be less prone to injury. I personally used to really struggle with knee pain and sciatica due to having a very tight lower back. The reason I did have a tight lower back was from hours of sitting in a bad posture and from a lot of jumping from volleyball and basketball. And the only way that I managed to resolve my tight lower back is through stretching regularly every single week. Trust me, a lot of guys skimp out on stretching, but it's super crucial if you want to move and feel like an athlete. So just to quickly wrap up recovery, get good sleep, rest 2 to 3 days every single week, and stretch regularly every single week. And there you have it. I went through training, nutrition, and recovery, and that's basically all you really need to build an athletic physique. Just keep at it for 6 months straight. Now, I do run a one-on-one training program where you get access to me as your trainer and a certified nutritionist to help you build out meal plans, teach you the equivalent portion systems to help you get everything in place and make your athletic transformation super easy. But truthfully, it isn't essential and it also isn't meant for everyone. You can truly 100% without a shadow of a doubt build your dream physique, build an athletic physique, move pain-free, and have high energy just by following everything that I taught you in this video today. However, if you have failed in the past following a training routine, you probably need a little bit more support and accountability. If you do need that accountability and get access to a community of like-minded individuals training together, and if you also are just fed up with failing so many times and having to figure it out yourself over and over again, listen, I am here to help you every step of the way and help you get to a promised routine in a guaranteed time span. So if you're interested in my help, you can book in a call with me using the link in the description below, or you can hop over to my Instagram, DM me the word START in order to learn more about the training program so we can chat with each other a bit, and then we can get you started as soon as possible towards reaching an athletic physique. So that's everything for this video. I hope it helped you out a lot. Be sure to subscribe, leave a like, share, all of those things, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.